hope you enjoyed that amazing virtual session. You're in for a treat today as we navigate to some of our next topics. Just as a reminder, coming up at 11 a.m. is our session on Leadership Reset for Success with Kathleen Wood, and our 11:30 session is with renowned chef Mark Garcia on building your brand as a chef. Up next is a powerhouse tandem, TJ Shire and Sam Standish. These are two veteran operators and entrepreneurs that walk the walk with both operating successful national chain sandwich franchises and are soon to release their first book together, Smart Restaurant Guide to Catering Domination. Now, TJ is the president and founder of Incentivized Solutions, a leading consulting company focused on impacting their clients' results through delivering keynotes, workshops, custom training materials, and virtual coaching. Sam, also known as the International Pupil Connector, has been involved with the hospitality industry for over 2 decades. He has developed expertise in strategic sales and marketing. Sam primarily works on the leadership and development as area representative for Firehouse Subs, Region Northern Illinois and Northwest Indiana. Join them for our next session, Catering 2020, the 3 keys thriving versus surviving.
Thanks for that great introduction. Sam and I are happy to be with you here today. We're going to talk to you about Catering 2020, the 3 keys to thriving versus just surviving. Now, Sam and I are both operators. We're both consultants and speakers, and we work with a lot of brands. And really, when you think about catering, so much has changed, yet nothing really has changed as well. Catering is really like fishing. You got to be in the right place. You got to be where all those catering clients are. You have to have some hooks in the water with the right bait, and ultimately you have to know what you need to catch. The big change for us these days is a lot of the catering that we're used to has gone away. And many operators are scrambling for sales. They're trying to figure out what to do. And what we want to talk to you about today is how to go out and get the catering that's still there, because yes, it is still there, and how you need to modify your tactics. So there's 3 keys that we're going to talk about with you here today. The first of the 3 keys is the new execution. You're going to have to execute differently. The second one is how delivery has changed, obviously, with a lot of the sanitation things going on around the pandemic and so forth. And then the third piece is to get off your rear end and get on the offense, because the brands that are out there, there's some that are already killing it with catering and off-premise, and you need to be one of those. You need to weaponize catering. You need to be out there with your brand out in front of the guests and in front of the consumer, in front of those catering buyers. Now, when you think about the customer or the client experience, it's really over the last 6 to 12 months trended toward frictionless. They want frictionless. They want ease of ordering. They want ease of delivery. What's happened now over the last 2 months is they want it, and really it has to be contactless. So as you think about how to really revolutionize your brand in the catering, it has to be both frictionless for the consumer and contactless, especially at the point of pickup or delivery. Now let's jump into the first key, which is the new execution. So much has changed in this area. I'm going to talk briefly about supply chain and a little bit on the menu, and then Sam will get into some more of the details on the menu and packaging. Now, when you think about supply chain, we're all familiar with the concerns we have around the meat production facilities and so forth. But the aggressive and the real smart operators are out there working with their supply chain partners and distributors ahead of time. The worst thing that can happen is you get this huge order for roast beef, as an example, and then you realize the distributor can't get you any. So as an operator, you really need to be thinking ahead and talking to your supply chain partners, because what can we do if we run out of roast beef? Is there an alternative item that we can get? So think through the key items that you sell, work with your supply chain partners, and figure out what the backup plan is. So if you get large orders, and I'm telling you, I've got people that I work with that are doing $5,000, $6,000, $8,000, $10,000 orders with warehouses like Amazon. And when they're calling, you got to have the product to serve them, because if you say no, they're done. They're never calling you back. So make sure you have a supply chain strategy in place. The next key around the menu change in execution is really think about what you could do differently. As an example, as you'll see on the screen here, Chick-fil-A is doing meal kits, and I know a number of other brands are doing meal kits as well. But the off-premise has changed so much where a lot of it's not as much B2B anymore. It's a lot of B2C. So can you make it easy for mom and dad to have the family at home that they really weren't planning on having at home for this long? And make it easy for them. Have a meal kit that's simple for them. It's a nice order. It's a nice ticket for you. There's a lot of states that you can actually sell off-premise alcohol as well. So think about how you can change your menu due to the changes with the consumer behavior around the pandemic. I'm going to turn it over to Sam Stanovich now to walk you through the rest of the new execution. So Sam, take it away.
Thanks, TJ. And the world has changed and it's going to be a different place. We hope that over the last few weeks, you have re-engineered your menu to look at how is that set up, how are you packaging, and what does the customer want? Well, the customer wants to make sure that things are clear, labeled, and individually packaged. So box lunches, if you're doing large platters, individually wrapping the portions, those are all keys to building a stronger catering business and ensuring the confidence to your consumer, whether or not you are taking it to that next level. And that's the great part about being entrepreneurs, whether you're in a franchise brand or doing it yourself, is you have the ability to modify. And over the last 7-8 weeks, we have learned so much about the consumer demand and the customer demand that we've been able to change and modify and continue in our catering business. It may take a little bit longer, it may incur additional costs, but you too can do this and win at catering. There is, as TJ mentioned, tremendous amounts of opportunities out there. It's just looking at it differently because that traditional business customer that you have been working with is now working from home. But there are tons of essential services out there in warehouse, distribution, your local CVS, Walgreens, those who are putting themselves at the front line every day for the new world order that we're in. And as things start to relax a little bit, it isn't going to change that need for those individual packaged items, box lunches, and so forth, because that is going to be the new consumer expectation moving forward. So as we think about your strategy, that is key. So as TJ mentioned, we talk about supply chain. We're going to talk about the menu changes and being prepared for that. We're going to talk about the packaging, which you can see an example here. I work with Firehouse Subs and I'm a franchisee. This is how we've modified and moved our delivery. And then finally, it is moving into that delivery. What is the consumer expecting when you come knock on the door? As TJ mentioned, a lot of it is contactless or frictionless. Are you prepared in showing those key deals for your consumers and customers?
So as we move into the new delivery, really the companies that are on the cutting edge out there are moving forward and actually talking to the consumer about what they're doing in regards to sanitation. Back in February, you could just really have to focus on being 100% right and on time and setting up for the consumer. But now things have dramatically changed. So you need to be out there and adding the step about sanitation to that trust factor, because there's obviously this heightened awareness to the sanitation standards, masks, gloves, and some of those kind of things with delivery people. And a lot of the forward thinking brands have put messaging out, whether it's on their website, on their catering website, or on the front door of their restaurant or the drive-through windows, talking about what they're doing around safety. A lot of the other ones, I've seen a lot of CEOs making messages that they've put out on LinkedIn and YouTube and on their social media, talking to the consumer to ease their fears about the sanitation standards so that they can build that trust that your brand or your restaurant is one that they can trust when they come out and bring food to the facility where they're delivering. So Sam, I'm going to turn it back over to you and you can go back through some of the specifics around delivery.
So when you arrive and you are taking your catering to the consumer, whether it is a business or it is a residential, you want to make sure that you have the things that they're expecting. You want to make sure that you have your mask, your gloves. If you're doing large scale orders, and you take a delivery cart with you, you want to make sure that you have wipes for that cart. We do a lot of business with frontline workers in hospitals and medical facilities. And here's a picture of me delivering one night to those frontline workers. Made sure I had my mask, my hat, my gloves on. And then we have our delivery cart there. And one of the things that we take with us in stock for all of our employees is the wipes, because as we take it into medical facilities, we don't want anything to spread or change. So we're wiping the carts down before and after every delivery, where we've got gloves and we're taking the mask. And we've really had a great response from our customers, how well we come prepared compared to a lot of others. So that's something new that you're going to be thinking about in your business and how you deliver every day and bring your product to market.
It's funny. I was talking to another franchisee in the system that I'm in who's doing a lot of warehouse orders, and they've actually been requested by the consumer to not do boxed lunches anymore and to deliver everything in like to-go bags or like a thank you bag that you would get on a to-go order, because the consumer wants everybody to be able to wipe down their own individual bag, because obviously we deliver it to the warehouse or we deliver it to the retail place or the restaurant or wherever it is. They then have to get it out to each of the offices or each of the sections of the warehouse or the break room. And it's really been a learning for us to hear that the consumer wants it in a plastic bag, because the end consumer can then wipe everything down. So it's amazing how many things have changed. Obviously, in his case, he was happy because a plastic bag's a lot cheaper than a boxed lunch, but it changes the dynamic. So listen to your consumer. What are they saying they need from you for delivery? Because as Sam mentioned, if you can do it better than the competitor, you're going to be having catering orders coming at you nonstop. So let's move into that last piece, the last key, which is really how to get on the new offense. And when you think about, I mentioned earlier, to weaponize catering, you get what you focus on. There are so many people right now that are just worrying about surviving, and I get it. I'm a franchisee. Sam's a franchisee. We've all had to deal with sales drop-offs, but you've got to focus on thriving, not just surviving. And so by getting out and taking the offense, there's a lot of things that have changed. I used to have to, my stores do feet on the street and get out there and find leads and knock on doors. Well, you know what? You can't do that anymore. So we're leveraging different things like Rewards Network, Denova, Easy Cater, Field Day, companies that can go out and virtually find consumers or clients for us to go out and deliver catering to. Obviously, you can email them or pick up the phone yourself, but you've got to get on the offense. Don't sit back and focus on woe is me and, oh my gosh, this is the end and there's no catering business out there. There's a ton. And so, Sam, give us a few more tactics to go out there on the new offense and get some of these orders.
TJ, that's some great points, right? I'm tired of playing defense. I want to have the ball in my hand, and I want to go out and score some touchdowns. And right now, doing the traditional LRM is not going to happen. So you have to do it more strategically, more surgically, and you have to look for who's open currently in your market and working hard. So whereas we traditionally targeted a lot of car dealerships, office buildings, well, those aren't taking people in anymore. So you have to go hunting for the new areas, which were always there, but they weren't as attractive because they weren't doing as much business as they are today. So warehouses, the supply chain, there's such a demand for truck drivers right now, and those guys are hungry. So can you bring truck drivers into your parking lot? With a lot of the strip centers closed down and worked and organized differently, there could be an opportunity for you there. We with Firehouse at our restaurants have these huge parking lots, and we've attracted quite a few truck drivers who will order multiple items because they're taking them on the road with them to go. So it's a whole new community that we're tapping into. There's a lot of great work being done with charity groups to help feed the frontline workers that are out there today. They're raising money and they want to work with good community partners. And it's not only the feel good, which is fantastic to be in a emergency room in an ICU, and it's great to be doing that work, but it's really being that holistic against the entire community, bringing it together and creating more opportunities, because the world is going to come back. And all of this work that we're doing and all this new fishing that we talk about will pay huge dividends because it's forced you to go into new areas, talk to different people, explore new business opportunities like CVS and Costco and Walmart, who may not have been that traditional catering customer that we were doing a lot of business with, but they're working so hard and their teams are being recognized that it's bringing a tremendous value back to the community. I was at several different Costco's throughout my region, and they've got great posters up saying, hey, support these local community restaurants. What a great advertising vehicle that we didn't have before, but it's changed. So we have to look for all these new opportunities. We have to hunt differently because, again, as TJ mentioned, we can't get into the offices, but through digital and social, we can use Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, look for those businesses, opportunities, those communities that are out there and engage them, putting stuff out there that you're open. The key thing is most communities have seen so many restaurants close that we have to tell people constantly that we are open. We are ready for your business. We are and will be doing it differently for you. You may not be able to eat in my dining room every day, but we will bring it to you. We will bring it to the curb. We will deliver it to your location. There are options. And the great part is, if you're ready for it, we've already taken the punch in the gut, right? How many times can we take that punch before we start going out on the offense? And because there have been a lot of closures, and it's very disappointing that my friends and brothers and sisters in the hospitality business aren't working, but we have to maintain and keep moving that ship forward and that needle down the offense because there are the opportunities. People need to be fed. People are yearning to go out and eat. They're hoping to eat our food, your food, somebody's food because they're tired of being at home cooking. So take this opportunity, move the ball forward, look in the untraditional areas. Look on that whiteboard of strategy that you had that was, traditional office buildings, and then you had number 12 that you didn't get to. Well, now it's time to get to number 12 and work your way back up and down that ladder of sales opportunity because the fishing is there. You just got to put the hook in the water and go get what you have the opportunity to get and strive for.
Yeah, I think along those lines, for those of us that were used to fishing in certain great fishing holes, whether it's medical or office or retail, a lot of those fishing holes have dried up. So what we really wanted to do with you today is share some new fishing holes. I think ultimately the successful operators that get through this storm and really build their business are the ones that are viewing their restaurant instead of as a brick and mortar asset. They're looking at it as a production facility. I've got to make food here. Most of the guests can't eat in our dining room any longer. What can I do to repurpose my food production facility, i.e. my kitchen, to generate sales for my restaurant? Get out there and get on the offense. I think some of the things you should be looking to do, as Sam mentioned on social media, is track some of the hashtags. A lot of your competitors talk about who they're feeding this hospital or they fed that retail store or that Costco. Get in there, set up some Google alerts on what your competitors are doing and posting on social media, or troll them a little bit on some of their hashtags, because what they're doing is they're telling you who's buying catering. And that gives you the opportunity to go in there and see who's still buying, get on the offense versus waiting for that customer to come to you. And places like Home Depot and Lowe's and a lot of the other places Sam mentioned, they weren't traditionally my catering customer, but now they're super busy. They're staffed. It's almost like Black Friday almost every day for them. They're so busy and they don't have time to go out and visit the restaurant. So it's a great opportunity for you to connect to them, get on the offense, and bring the food to them and solve your problem and be up in sales. So, as you look forward to getting back, and hopefully, I'm so tired of hearing pivot and the new normal and some of those kind of things, but really creating a catering domination is what Sam and I like to call it. We actually have a new book coming out and a website launching in early June called cateringdomination.com. So if you're looking for what can I do in this post-pandemic era to move our catering sales forward, we've got this new book coming out, as I mentioned, along with our website. We would love to hear from you all and teach you all what we know, because again, sometimes when you're a student, the teacher magically appears. We have spent time, money, effort, made tons of mistakes, and we've all learned from them. And we're happy to help you all because we're in the industry. I'm a trainer by trade. Sam used to work for the NRA. We love to share success stories, and that's really what this website and the book is going to be all about, to help you. So on the last slide here, you'll see our contact information. If you have any questions, we really appreciate you all taking the time to learn from us today. We look forward to learning from you and going ahead and sharing to help our industry thrive and succeed in this really tough environment. But again, there are already people out there succeeding. We need to go fishing. We may need to fish in some new fishing spots or change the bait on the hook, but you can be successful and dominate catering as well. Thanks for your time today and look forward to hearing from you.
All right, so thanks to Sam and TJ on that great information on how to build your catering business moving forward. We want to add a bumper. This is one of those special Easter eggs of Food Leaders, and it's the special content that was not on the agenda. So if you're listening, this is kind of one of those things in class where you had to be paying attention. We're going to be revealing some very cool information here, and that is the emerging brands post-COVID-19. Everybody's asking me what brands are going to break out and become the stars when this thing is over. Well, guess what? I've got some concepts right here to show you. I'm going to give you our number one concept that is a net positive on post-COVID. And here's some reasons why. Modern Market, you know them. I love them. I've watched this brand for about 7-8 years now, and I've met their founders, had a chance to see them on their first location. They have matured in a big way, and they are bringing it home, baby. It is a concept that I think is going to be setting the trends for restaurant concepts in the future. And the issue behind what Modern is doing is they're going after this grocery and these custom boxed concepts. And look at what's here on screen, because this is a very cool thing. I got this email, going, gone. This was a Mother's Day box that they were putting out. Then they have their grocery boxes that are basically like their pantry goods that are building in. Again, remember that what you see a lot of times in the restaurant industry is distributor level product is much better than what you find at the grocery store. So you need, as a marketer, need to really ramp up the quality level that you guys bring to the industry. And Modern Market has been able to do that. I also want to show some of their numbers here. It's kind of noisy on that slide right there, but this is important. Sentiment score during the COVID period between March 1st and May 24th sentiment score was up 38% for this brand. Loyalty was up 18.6%. Transactions were down, everybody knows, but they were not down dramatically. But takeout for this brand skyrocketed to 76% increase in what their takeout business was before. They adapted. They have become a new kind of restaurant concept. And I want to congratulate Anthony Pigliacampo over there because he's doing a great job. Obviously, if you did not know, that brand merged with Lemonade. There's some special things that I think are going to be happening around Mod Market. And this is one of those things. We did a study on this earlier last year, and we looked at how their influencers were really starting to influence digital actions. That's another factor that I think a lot of people don't realize when you're marketing, of how to be able to develop a great influencer strategy and be able to move that to the next needle of profitability. And many companies are really starting to move in that direction. I think there's going to be some cool stuff that brands like Modern Market are going to bring to the table. All right, I want to talk about our number two concept. And this is, I've been analyzing concepts through this whole COVID issue and looking at who is doing it right and what are some of the unique things that they're doing that is really making them step up and stand out. Here is one, I think, that is on the cusp of greatness, and that is Doghouse. Now, Andre Vener, I believe is his name, the CEO and founder, one of the founders of Doghouse. We had a chance to get them on Fast Casual Nation, one of our shows, a few years back, and we kind of noticed something about that concept. Very, very approachable. This concept is definitely going after the virtual brand aspect in building 3 virtual brands. They're going to offer 3 virtual brands to franchisees. They're also launching 9 different concepts under one house. This is going to be, baby, the house that Snoop Dogg should have built. This is going to be unbelievable. I can't wait to see the brands that these guys really start to rock. This is a good example of one of them, which is their chicken sandwich concept. And then, of course, let's take a look at their numbers here. Sentiment scores up 19% during all this period. Also, loyalty up 21%. Transactions were down 28%. Yes, I know, but they weren't down in the 40s to 70% range that a lot of restaurants had. But anyway, I mean, come on, bad mother clucker. I love that, baby. That's what I'm talking about. That's the kind of concepts that are going to really start to excel and are grabbing the attention of consumers. That's the whole idea. If you're going to win in this game, you've got to get out there and get the attention. Gary Vee says it every day. It's all about attention. That's what you got to do as a brand, so stay with it. Doghouse at number 2. Here's one that is not on your radar, and it's one that I think pulled a fast one on the entire South Florida fast casual market. It's a little concept called Little Hen. Now, these guys were one brand called Little Hen. It should be called the Big Rooster, but these guys went in, reformatted their entire business into 3 concepts in one house. So they went to El Gallo, which was their taqueria, and then they also did the Avo House, which was a spin-off of these 3. So all of this was in one house. They flipped the switch and they started doing delivery for the taqueria and the Avo House, which I think is, I mean, come on. If you want to get innovative, you want to make a change in what you're doing, these are the kind of steps and bold moves that your business has got to take to be able to jump out there. I hear so many people talking about virtual brands right now, and whether you like it or you dislike it as an operator, the fact is it's a reality. Now, is it a fad? Is it yesterday's Air Jordans? I don't know. But what I do know is consumers are adapting to it right now. You could probably ask the same thing about fast casual 20 years ago. You could have looked at this and said, hey, it's just another QSR. You all know that's not the case. So believe me, this is a huge move in the right direction with being able to innovate and move to the next level around our business. So those top 3, congrats to Modern Market, congrats to boys over at Doghouse, and congrats to Little Hen. You guys have done a great job on really diversifying what you're doing as a brand and moving forward. We are going to go into full service real quick, and I want to kind of break this down because full service disruption is one of those things that people don't really understand. Smoky Bones has already moved in this direction. This is an interesting chart because this shows both takeout mentions, sentiment, and engagement. Guess who they're up against? The baddest boys on the house, and that is the Outback Steakhouse boys. But look who's winning that little war. That is Smoky Bones, and they're doing it through a variety of delivery launches and virtual brand movements that's starting to catch the attention of consumers. This is one that you want to keep an eye on. I think this little brand, again, a South Florida brand that I think you should keep your eye on. It's going to be a good one that gets to the next level. Let's move along quickly. There's some really cool points here. This was a piece done by Samantha Gilson. And she's basically saying, is the coronavirus the end of fancy restaurants? I want to look at that red box right there on screen right now. Look what that says. More health, okay. Recommendations for reopening safety. More hopefully, some of the smartest minds in the industry, such as Chang and Tom Colicchio, have started a public dialogue about how dine-in restaurants need to change and evolve to survive. That's to survive. We may not see fine dining again the way we've seen it before. This is going to be a big hit for the fine dining restaurant, but guess what? I think there are some companies out there that are going to shift the model and move to the next direction, and that is a company like Peter Luger's. If you look at Peter Luger's, it's one of the best steakhouses in the country. They have started to make this whole concept of making their product more approachable to consumers. What's that going to do? That's going to open up markets for consumers to get to very high exclusive brands and be able to open up markets to be able to get those guys to understand where the consumers might be going. So prepping your business for the next step when you're a fine dining restaurant, these are some of the things that will need to happen. So big minds like David Chang, congrats to you and Tom on what you're doing on understanding where this business is going to need to go to the next level in being able to expand your business for the future past COVID. So more Easter eggs are coming right here on Food Leaders. Don't miss them. They are going to be awesome. We'll see you on the next session.